and welcome to Rose Recap. I am Deanna Pappas.
And I'm Nicole Seidman.
And I tell you what, we have something so special today. The amazing Melissa Schreiber is here as our special guest.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, thank you
really
for
appreciate
coming.
it.
Yes, we're happy to have you. And guess what? So are the fans, Melissa. We've been getting tons of questions from you on our Rose Recap Twitter. So I thought we would just start off by asking you one question. Are you ready?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So @ShopGirl wants to know, when you watch the show, do you feel like it's an accurate portrayal has been painted of you?
You know, I'm so glad you asked me that question because absolutely not. You know, it is a TV show and there's so much that goes into it that no one gets to see. So, you know, while 90% of the time we're having fun and we're laughing and we're just hanging out, you know, that's when we all get to know each other so well.
Yeah.
But the other 10% is a lot of drama and a lot of emotion that goes into it. So, you know, where in my everyday normal life, I'm fun and bubbly and not crying all the time, you know, it doesn't come across that way. So it's hard. It's hard to watch it back.
I could see that, definitely.
Right, and you are saying, like, in this situation, it was a lot of emotion, and people have to remember that this is a television show, first and foremost. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's a television show. It's for entertainment. I did get very emotional, and, you know, I'm going to own that because that's who I am. I'm an emotional person. Okay. But in my normal everyday life, I'm just a normal, bubbly, happy person. So.
And Nicole and I have hung out with her. She is not
she's
crazy.
Very cool. And I would like to say for the record, she's not a stage 5 clinger, so
yeah,
get that,
so not a stage 5 clinger at all.
We'll take that back right here on Rose Recap. She is not a stage 5 clinger, guys. It's all in good fun.
Not stage 5.
Okay, stage 4 is good.
Well, with all of that said, talking about some clingingness, we are moving straight along to the competition. Now, this was juicy. I know we say juicy and it's probably overused, but this really was juicy.
Yeah.
It was a kissing competition, guys, and they did this on the first season, and it didn't go so well in the first season. And Melissa, I think you'll back us up here. It didn't go so well on this season either, right?
You know what? It was when they presented it to us, we were like, oh no, not this again, because we were all dreading it. Honestly,
not the guys, I'm sure.
Even the guys. Honestly, there were several people in the house that were sick, and we were all like, we don't want to kiss you. You're sick. Like, you know, it was just the kind of thing where it was just awkward. You know.
Yeah.
You know, Ella and Michelle have kids, and they kind of wanted to give a good impression.
And then there's Casey and Vienna, and they're not kids.
There are couples in the house.
Couples.
You know,
I can see that being
it's awkward, and it's never a comfortable situation, but.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of what we had to do, and so we chapsticked up and we got on it, you know? I mean, what are you gonna do?
And all the awkwardness did not portray on the show. It looked really, really great. And I tell you what, I left wanting to kiss Ella too. Steven loves this part.
Yes, honestly.
I'm telling you what, Steven loves this part. I wanted to make up with Ella because I wanted to know what the kissing was all about. But I really thought that Ella stood out, and so did Erica Rose. I mean, she did say she gets those lip injections every 6 months. So
she sure does.
I want to make out with her too.
Oh, you do? Well, I'm voting for Ella, and guess what? Everybody else did too, because she was the female winner, and she was looking good and sexy. I totally thought she deserved it. And then Blake was the male winner. He really got down and dirty with those women. You know he enjoyed it. Sorry, but
no,
he did.
Honestly, I'm sure that was right up his alley. So
really it was.
It is all good.
Yes. So they got the dates, and the first date was with Ella and Kirk, and it was so cute. They seemed to have a good connection. They had a hot air balloon. They had a hot red car. It was all fun and games for them. And then there was Blake's date. Okay, so before we jump on to the actual date, we have to talk about when he stood there and announced that he was taking Holly on the date and not Melissa. Clearly you were upset. Clearly you had reason to be. You even said that day he had said a million things that led you to believe that you would be going that night. So what didn't we see? What kind of things was he saying to you?
Well, even leading up to that moment, you know, we had already been in the house for 2 weeks. And what people don't realize is that, you know, even though I might say I fell for him after one date, there was so much that happened prior to that one date. There was a good 8 or 9 days prior to that date where we were together all the time, and he was saying things to lead me to believe he really liked me and wanted to see me outside of the house, and just affection and everything like that. And then going on our date and making out all night, not once, not twice, but all night, you know, our whole car ride home for 2 hours. People didn't see what was going on, you know, behind the scenes. And so the day of the kissing contest, when he got to choose a date, we sat together several times that day and talked about, you know, what we could possibly be doing. And he promised me over and over he was taking me on this date.
It is not looking good for Blake.
Well, I saw him talking to Holly several times in the day, and I told him so many times, like, if you're taking Holly on a date, just tell me so that I'm not blindsided.
Yeah.
And he would tell me, like, no, I'm taking you, and he saw me getting ready for the date. I did my hair, I did my nails.
That is...
And, he even, as, silly as it is, we did pinky swear on it. I know that sounds so
It
juvenile.
sounds silly, but,
So juvenile, but absolutely that happened. And so when we were sitting there, I was so excited. I'm like, I can't wait for our date. I was like rubbing his back. I'm like, we're gonna go on this date. I'm so excited. And so I was genuinely shocked.
I think that's really mean, and like you could tell that you were genuinely shocked and upset. And what I want to know is, when you watch it back, do you think that Blake was playing you? Because obviously he was playing you, but do you think that he was doing it strategically, or do you think that he just lost interest?
I genuinely, watching it back, it baffles me because I had several people tell me, Blake does really like you. He finds you attractive. You're totally his type. And then watching it back, I can't imagine any of that being true. I think he genuinely was just playing me for what he could use. He knew that, for whatever reason, I might be able to help him get a little further in the game, which,
It is a game, right? Like, everyone stressed that.
I did not play the game. I like I said, like, I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't backstab. Like, this was not a good game for me.
You were out.
I'm a very emotional person. It's not, it's,
you are.
It's just me.
All right, well, let's skip right to the date, if you don't mind, where Holly and Blake went skiing. Now, not only was this a skiing date, it turned into an overnight date, which I'm sure was not only traumatic for you, but for poor Michael as well. I mean, the whole time he was up the whole night wondering what Holly was doing. It was heartbreaking. I mean, I just think the whole thing, I like to call it the love square, is getting juicy. Right?
It was so juicy that I don't even have anything to say about it. I'm torn because, I think that in their defense, Michael hadn't come forth to Holly quite yet and blatantly said, hey, I'm back in love with you and I want to be with you. But I think on the other hand, that's portrayed, and us as viewers are seeing that they were flirting, they were kissing, and there was love touches and pats and everything going on. So I think it was just tough to watch.
Yeah, and I have to say, in Michael's defense, I was there, and there were so many times where we were like, where are Holly and Michael? And you would definitely see them, off in a corner on a couch, behind the pool, laughing and kissing. And there was so much interaction between the two of them that literally every night we'd be like, where are the two? Oh, they must be off on their own little island, like having their own one-on-one time. And
even last night had a one-on-one date. They had, with wine and everything, and they seemed to connect.
Yeah, I genuinely thought that, and Michelle did too. I remember her saying to Michael, there's something still there. We could all see it. It really seemed like Holly was finding her way back to Michael, and he was accepting of it. And it was just heartbreaking for all of us to see Blake take her on that date, because Michael really, I think he genuinely felt like it was just...
Well, I think it's an awkward situation all around. Michael and Holly have a long history, and I think going into the house and into a reality show, I can imagine that it is hard for all of them. But with all of this drama, takes us straight into the rose ceremony, guys, where there was even more drama. The drama seemed to be surrounding Melissa being voted off at the rose ceremony. Melissa, did the fact that everyone seemed to be voting for you catch you off guard?
Well, it did, because I was safe the entire day. I mean, I talked to several people. It was literally, I would say, the last 15 minutes that you're gonna see me going, crazy, running around the house trying to secure myself, because up until the last 15 minutes, I was safe, and it literally all happened so fast. I remember going up to Michael, and he was like, I'm definitely keeping you safe. You're safe this week. And then 10 minutes later, he came up to me and said, I don't know what happened, but everyone's voting you out. And that's when you see me, and it looks like it was like 30 minutes of this. It wasn't. It was probably 5 minutes, and I was scrambling.
And everyone was lying to you. They were all acting like they weren't going to vote you off.
I mean, I knew at that point that I was going home. And, it sucks, but...
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just can't even believe how crazy I appeared.
Right.
And I was so upset that I was,
Yeah.
It's,
Well, so
yes. In the end, Melissa went home, you guys, and we're gonna have to wrap up Rose Recap today, but we wanna hear from you. If you have any more questions for Melissa or any of the castmates, we'll do our best to get the answers for you. Just tweet us at Rose Recap. Melissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And thanks for watching today, everybody.
Absolutely. Keep watching Bachelor Pad and Rose Recap. We'll see you next week. Bye.